Okay, we are now recording.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, so this is the Amherst Energy and Climate Action Committee, which was organized originally to guide the town in meeting its climate mitigation and resilience goals. So let's remember that those goals and the plan for getting there are adopted from the Climate Action Adaptation and Resilience Plan, or the CARP, which was accepted by the Town Council in 2021. That plan took 2016 as its base year, called for a 25% reduction in carbon emissions by 2025, 50% by 2030, and neutrality by 2050. So this committee has two functions. One is to advise the town council and to recommend or propose policies or actions that will help us meet those goals. And the other is to promote a just, equitable, and speedy climate response through outreach and engagement. Um, so that's where we are, who we are. So the first item of business is always, well, first we have to meet a note taker, and I've totally lost track. I know Don took notes last time. I have no idea who took notes before that. So would someone like to just volunteer?
I can do it. I haven't done it in a while.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you very much.
Sure.
So we have a note taker. So the first thing we're going to do is review and vote on the minutes from the last meeting, which was all the way back in December, on December 10th. And
Wow.
I happen to have them
2 months.
Yeah, too long, too long. We had a lot of stuff, a lot of things going that we wanted to follow up on at the beginning of the year, and it's important, please, to be at these meetings if you can. We're still short two people. We'll get to that later, but if you can, and please be on time as well, if at all possible.
The,
All right, so
the minutes we have to review are from November, or is that
from
just an incorrect
December 10th,
date?
December 10th.
It
We're now
says
in
November
February.
5th at
Oh,
the top.
that's wrong too. Or did I
Could
bring
I?
up the wrong? Did I bring up the wrong?
No, it might have been, I might have, let me double check, Lori, because I might have accidentally sent the wrong
No,
one,
this is the
labeled
right.
it
These are
wrong.
these are the right minutes. The date just wasn't changed.
Yeah, I'll
Ah,
correct the date.
Okay.
Should be
yeah.
December 10, right?
Yeah,
2025, and this should be December 10, 2025. I
yep, I'll
found one
correct
other.
it.
Yeah. All right. So that'll get corrected. Um, I'll just highlight it in case that's needed. All right. There was one thing in here that was a little garbled, so I just fixed it. I had noted that the Energy Transition Institute at UMass is holding a forum on how local colleges in UMass are approaching the energy transition on their campuses, and University of Oregon was going to be invited, but it turns out they are not. I'm not sure why that didn't happen, but we're going to have representatives there from UMass Chan, from the medical school, and from Smith College. Um, and I'm not sure who else. There's at least one more. Um, so that'll be interesting, and it'll focus particularly on the fate of the central heating plant. At any rate, that's the correction I made. I just sent that to Stephanie right before the meeting. I'll just scroll through. If anybody sees anything else, say
Are
something.
you
If not,
sharing it? I
Yeah,
don't
I didn't
see
see your
it
oh,
sharing it.
sharing.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I
Okay.
thought I had shared
Go
it. I
on.
did not. Now I am sharing it.
Perfect. I see it now.
Apologies. Duh. Let me go back up to the beginning. Sorry about that. Um, hang on a minute. I need to see all of you. Okay, there we go. So the beginning was here. November 25th or whatever it was changed to December 10. Um,
Can you make it a bit bigger, Lori,
oh, sure.
to read?
View,
No, you're gonna
Zoom.
change that, right? The number one,
Hang on a minute.
because
Which
we're
one is?
reviewing and voting on the minutes from the prior meeting.
Oh, that one was right. That one was
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
Let me just delete this. Okay, there we go. And let's put this one
Oh,
back. It
perfect.
was it was whatever it was.
Yeah,
I can just.
yeah.
Ah, shit. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
It's the
By the way,
November
everybody,
date.
if I'm a little bit garbled and out of it, I had my left knee replaced a week ago. So
Oh,
Oh,
Well,
oh,
congratulations.
congratulations. And how's the recovery going? Okay, I hope.
recovery's going okay. And I'm no longer on medication that would affect my ability, but yeah, I am.
Okay. Well, may it give you much more mobility.
Yeah, I hope so. So if you hear me grunt, it's because I'm picking up my leg and moving it.
Oh dear. Okay. All right, so we had the education series. I went pretty quickly through the beginning. Advisory and support. Staff updates. Here we go. Any changes, any corrections? If not, let's have a move to accept the minutes.
I'll move to accept the minutes as amended.
I second.
Okay. So now I have to stop sharing, right? Stop share. There we go.
Okay, in no particular order. Roof,
Yes.
Door,
Yes.
Gold,
Yes.
sorry, Leinung,
Yes.
Tanaka,
Abstain.
Allison.
Yes.
Okay, minutes are approved.
Okay, now we have public comment, but I don't see anyone in attendance, so we will move on from there. ECAC member outreach. Okay, so do you want to give us an update?
Sure. So we get people sort of sending in notifications of interest, and there's kind of people who generally want to just apply for several committees, and then there's also a file for people who specifically want ECAC. And unfortunately, the people that specifically want ECAC have already been interviewed, and many of you are sitting here now. So the pool for those interested specifically in ECAC is very small. But I did go to the general file as well, and there were people who had interest in ECAC as well as many other committees. So I think we identified several candidates. And I think Angela Mills, the executive assistant to the town manager, will be reaching out to you, Lori. I think it's just a matter of trying to schedule the town manager's schedule with trying to get the interviews and making sure people are still interested and available.
Right, okay.
So she'll let you
that would
know.
be good. Yeah, and meanwhile, keep, reaching out to your networks. I wanted to say a few words about that, especially if you know somebody who has specific expertise in architecture or passive houses or net zero or anything, or transportation, anything that this committee is interested in. We'd love to have that expertise. We did lose some really deep expertise some time ago, and it would be nice to get some of that back. Although we do have some of it back with all of you, but we lost some very specific niches, I guess. All right. I'll leave that, and then on to our education and outreach goals. I suspect PACE, we leave it on there, but I don't think, Don, you got anything to report for PACE? Whoops. You're muted.
All right. No.
Okay. Didn't think so. I don't have much for coordination with local groups. Does anybody have coordination with local groups? I have a little bit, maybe. All right, I'm still talking to the groups at UMass. I do have an update on that, I guess, although I could do that later under advisory and support, I think. So why don't I do that later? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I have not met. Yeah, I don't have much for coordination with local groups right now. So we go on from there to heat pumps. I don't think I have anything for heat pumps. I've been. Anyone have anything else? I don't have anything there. I think the big thing on the agenda is the education series because we had a bunch of things there that were in process when we left off. So if there's no objection, we'll go on to 4D, education series. All right, let me bring up and share, if I can find it, the education series ideas where we were last time, when we last left off. Can we just share this? Okay, we had a couple of things in particular. I know that Andrew was talking to Darcy in Zero Waste, right?
Yeah, there's been no updates on that. I don't know if Zero Waste has had emails or there's only been a couple of emails on that mailing list. I hope I'm not missing any. Are you part of Zero Waste, Lori?
I'm not.
Have I missed a meeting or anything?
No, I'm not part of it. I
Okay,
attend LEA, which is also
right,
attended by Darcy and Andra, and they're both, I think, involved in Zero Waste or were
right.
um,
Okay, I
lately.
just want to make sure I'm not missing any meetings. It just seemed a little dormant.
I get
Yeah.
updates, Andrew, and it's been pretty quiet
Okay,
for a while now, so I don't think you missed anything.
What's
okay,
going,
great. Thank
Stephanie,
you.
can you fill us in what's going on with the consultant?
The consultant,
Town
sorry.
hired a
Oh,
consultant for.
I can't. Sorry, not right now, not this meeting. I'll try to have something for the next meeting.
Okay. Um,
I
all right.
last I heard I think the consultant was due to finish their work in April, or something like that. So, but we'll wait for Stephanie's update
That'll
next
be,
meeting.
yep, that'll be interesting to hear about.
Mhm.
Um, okay, the other thing that we talked about, I think this was Steve, was solar and finding somebody. I think Stephanie, I think you were involved in this also, finding someone from a local solar company. We
Well,
had to talk about solar post federal incentives. Do we have anything there?
I have not followed up on that. But I can reach out to my contact at PV Squared and see if now is a time to start coordinating that.
That'd be great because I think a lot of people are sort of wondering what can we do now? What now? How do we do this? Uh,
What were we thinking? Was this a presentation during one of our meeting time slots that we would try to promote for the
yeah,
public?
yeah, exactly. That how to access solar. What are there still incentives and rebates available? What's available through the state? Now that the very large and generous federal incentive is gone, that I think a lot of people relied on, right? It was 30%, and there was no limit on it, if I remember right. Tax credit, so you have to be paying taxes to get it. But um, that was a pretty generous incentive. I think there is what is it, Smart 3.0 or something? There is a new set of rules for solar installation through the state of Massachusetts and incentives involved in that. And it would be interesting to get an update on that. Somebody who knows what's going on there, you know. Um,
And are we going to be able to drum up interest so that we'll have some members of the public
I
tuning
think
in?
so. Yeah, I think so. In the past, we've been able to do this as long as we send out a flyer through the town and
Yeah.
also drum up our own networks. We usually have a few people from, two or three to a dozen at most
Okay.
at these things, but then people watch them on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right.
I,
So,
I
yeah.
was just going to say, I mean, when we do these, have the communications manager will send out a social media post. So they do get pushed out. It's just like you said, people have the ability to watch them at the leisure. So
Right.
they're,
Right.
our heat pump outreach has only yielded 12 attendees per session. So,
And that's money, man. Here's some money for you.
exactly. Yeah, but, well, I'll give an update on that soon.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'll reach out and
Mhm.
see what we can work out with PV squared.
I'm wondering with this recent Arctic temperatures if that is affecting our ability to convince people to switch away from fossil fuels because they do, if anything, they do provide heat really well. And I know heat people think of heat pumps as maybe unreliable in colder weather. I don't know if there's some thought to maybe getting advocates to be like, it was -10 and my heat pumps worked great or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a good strategy, getting people who currently have, right, are using it, and maybe were even skeptics at one time to talk about it. So if we could pull something like that together, it'd be great.
Yeah.
A panel. Could
I,
you do something?
well, I mean, I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but we're talking about heat pumps and advocacy and people's experiences. So we have a session planned for February 24th for another community session. And we have a resident who is going to be available for Q&A to talk about their
Good.
experience of installing a heat pump. And there is his partner is recorded as giving a testimony. And so that's available. CET is still sort of putting it together on their website, but we're trying to get a link to it so we can have it on the town website as well. So that just exists. I'm just sharing that because that exists. I was going to give that as an update, but
Right. Okay. That's. Oh, you'll say it again later as an update. Let's make sure we write down the date and time and everything because I'd be
yep,
interested in hearing that as well.
sure.
Um, all right. Good. So that's going to happen, and that's something we can maybe just help advertise a little bit through our own networks. Um, One other thing I'm still thinking about is whether or not we should have a request that one of our representatives, Mindy Dome or Joe Comerford or the representative, come to a meeting and give us a summary of what's going on at the state and how we can help. Because I've been trying to do that, but they always know more better than anyone else, right? And also to have them available for Q&A about state policy on climate. It's very much under attack right now. There are a number of people in the Massachusetts legislature who are using the Trump administration's pulling back of incentives as an excuse to pull back on climate goals. And the big bad ugly horrible bill that we talked about, I think at the last meeting, that I think I announced was dead, is not dead. It's back. It's back in new and more horrible forms, or as horrible. It's slowly getting better, but it's still pretty horrible. So, to have them come in and talk about that and make sure they know how we feel about it, might be a useful thing for this committee to do. A lot of activist groups meet with their representatives or their representatives. What do folks think about doing something like that? I can contact Mindy or Joe and see if we can get a Q&A on climate bills together.
Yeah, I think that would be good. There may be some other organizations out there that possibly have already scheduled this sort of event. We could potentially co-sponsor it.
Yeah, there have been several lately, but they've all been very focused on particular legislation
Okay.
that I know about. I
So you're
know
thinking of broader
yeah,
approach,
yeah.
broader overview.
A lot of activist groups do this. In fact, there was a call to action I was going to mention today that actually, or was it in the one I sent you? I think it was in the one I just sent out before, that I'll go over later. That specifically says now's the time to meet with your, to have your groups as individuals, but also as groups, meet with your representatives and make sure they understand your point of view as a group. So that's what a lot of the activist groups do. That's their form of lobbying, right? They get together a bunch of people, they have a meeting beforehand about what their talking points are going to be and what the important things to emphasize are. They meet with their they meet with their representative and they make sure they understand where this group as a whole stands. I don't know of too many that just ask them to come in and talk about climate bills. I could be wrong, but I don't know that I've seen that. I saw it somewhere. I saw that somewhere, but I don't remember where. So it is done, but lately it's been mostly lobbying I've been seeing. So all right, I can reach out to Jared or Mindy's, I forget who Mindy's associate is, Mindy's assistant is, and see if we can get them to talk to us about the status of climate bills and how that's going.
Good.
And a lot of the things that are on this list might come up in that too. Why are electricity rates so high? Nuclear power, that's going to be talked about at this upcoming UMass event. UMass Chan has committed, apparently, or is trying to commit to replacing its CHP with a small modular reactor. Even though it's illegal in Massachusetts at the moment. So it's going to be an interesting, it could be very interesting to get someone here, especially if it's after that forum happens and local folks become aware that this is a thing that people are starting to push for. So a lot of these different items might come up. Okay, the local colleges, we talked a little about this. So this is interesting. The Energy Transition Institute. Maybe I'll talk about that now. The Energy Transition Institute at UMass, with a little help from me and a few other groups on campus, is going to be sponsoring this forum on decarbonization in academia. And the first one is, it looks like I mentioned, it's going to be UMass Chan, Smith College, Alex Barron at Smith. Our own sustainability director, Ezra Small, is that right? I think that's his name, is gonna talk. And there's one more from SUNY, I don't remember right now. There's one more who confirmed they were going to be coming. And they're going to be talking about central heating plant, how you replace that, how you do the transition. Hopefully they'll talk about financing and all that sort of thing. But it's not really a discussion of what everybody in Amherst is doing, of what Amherst College is doing and what Hampshire is doing, and Mount Holyoke. So it might be interesting to still do something like that. To just hear what all these campuses are planning. UMass doesn't really have cohesive plans at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what they say, but I'm sure Ezra will have things to talk about if we invite him. So Michael, Steve, Tetsuya, you interested in, maybe we could put a little 15 minutes from each, 10 minutes from each local college, put an hour together. What are your plans? See if we can get the appropriate folks from each college to say something.
Yeah, I think so. It's frustrating we're not able to do a lot at Hampshire that involves any money, but I could talk certainly about what we have planned, what we've set for goals,
Right.
and I can also potentially describe sort of how the two large solar fields that we've had now for 5 or 6 years, how those are working.
Yeah,
People might find that interesting. There's
that'd be
5 or
great.
6 different ways that those are benefiting the college financially and for our carbon footprint.
Yeah, so maybe we can try to find a date. You can't work on this off on your own as a group, but maybe if we, I would suggest the following. I can try to talk to Ezra He might not want to talk to me because of the situation at UMass, but I can try to talk to him and ask him if he would like to do this and give him a few potential dates. So, unless somebody else, does anyone else know Ezra?
I know Ezra very well.
Stephanie, could you call him and ask when he might be available? Give him, let's pick a few dates. Let's say April or something like that. April, or do we want to do it earlier? Just to give people time.
You're saying April dates for him?
Yeah, some dates when it would be during an ECAC meeting. This would be a little, you're interested in what the colleges are doing to decarbonize. Here it is. And I suspect we'll get at least a few people coming to that because I already know some locals who are interested in this.
I think if we maybe reach out to the people that we want to speak,
Mhm. Ask them when they're
maybe do a
available.
little doodle poll and first find out if they're willing and interested. And then if
Yep.
they are, I can help with that.
Okay.
Maybe do a little doodle poll and find out what dates they're available and then go from there. I know for Ezra,
Okay.
especially as the academic year winds down, he gets
He's busy.
really crazy busy.
Hmm.
So, because
Okay,
there's a
so
lot.
my suggestion would be that the UMass ETI event is in March. I think it's at the end of March now. I think they changed it to end of March. Um, so I would say either early March or later, and just let folks know these are the Wednesdays we meet. And this is the time frame. Are you interested? If so, we'll try to find one of these dates that works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have contact information for Wes and Ezra, not Alex. And if there was somebody else you wanted to reach out to,
Oh yeah, we have names here. Okay, sustainability director Amber Wes. So do you want to reach out to Wes or Tetsuya? Do you want to? Since you're at Amherst, correct?
Yes, I mean anything works. I mean I meet him sometimes, pretty frequently, so I can
so
invite
just
him every time.
maybe find out if he's interested. And
Hmm.
if so, let me know. I can put together the doodle poll. It might be easier for me to just do that.
Hmm.
Um, but if you could talk, at least make the initial connection with him and
Hmm.
find out if he's interested in doing something at one of our March meetings, and then
Yeah,
let me know, and then, maybe sort of do it via email and then include me on the response or send me the
Yeah.
response and then we can go from there.
I
Okay.
think I talked to him a long time ago when we started planning this, and I think he said he was interested. And he was even saying he can share other colleges as well because they coordinate pretty frequently apparently. But yeah.
So the idea, remember, is that we only have a 2 hour time frame for the meeting, and usually these forums are like these workshop forums, talks, whatever you want to call them, webinars are 1 hour. So I could imagine it's going a little longer than that on this because there are 5 colleges, and if all of them show up, 12 minutes each. It takes
Well,
a.
do you want to just focus on the three Amherst colleges?
The three Amherst, that might be the thing to do. Maybe we should start with that. That's a good idea. Let's start with the three in Amherst because we are the Amherst
Yeah.
ECAC. So, all right, that makes it easier. So then
Steve, are you going to be the person for Hampshire?
Yes.
we
Okay.
don't need to worry about Alex, and he will be the keynote person anyway at ETI. So this would be Wes, Ezra, and Steve. All right. So Tetsuya, if you'll contact Wes, just let him know when we meet, and if he's willing to do this, put together. So I guess it would be 15 or 20 minute discussion of what's going on. And Stephanie, if you reach out to Ezra, that would be great because I think Ezra has been told not to talk to me. At least that's the answer I got the last time I contacted him. Okay. And this is. All right, so report back on that next time. And let's try to put together a couple of these. Okay, shall we move on from there? Let me stop sharing. Let's move on. Let's see. Okay. Education series, advisory and support. So now we're into advisory and support, UMass climate plan. All right, so I really want to encourage everyone here and anyone who's listening to this to write to UMass and ask about they're still advertising, net zero carbon and net zero by 2032 and all that sort of stuff. It's still on their website. And at least ask them why, what's going on, and how come you haven't seen any geothermal being dug up. They are moving forward. So that folks know, there was a faculty senate vote asking the administration to form a joint committee with the faculty senate as a collaborative effort to put together or revise or get us back on track with a climate plan, which the administration is mostly ignoring. They're not willing to have a joint task force. They've made that pretty clear. We might be able to get some concessions, but we're not going to get a lot. And they are still moving forward with a committee that has almost no community input. It has now one faculty member on it who is tenured, one who is untenured and doesn't feel good about saying anything. I was kicked off for having retired, which nobody believes, and Erin Baker resigned in disgust over my being kicked off. Says I was the most active member of the community who was doing all the research, of the committee who was doing all the research for everybody. So they're now hiring. They're in the process of hiring a consultant to help them put together a plan. And I was just alerted to the fact that there has been responses to their RFP, which I have now been informally, by one of the other committee members, asked to review by tomorrow. This is how they do everything, So I am not going to be able to do a real review by tomorrow. And Erin Baker, the head of the Energy Transition Institute, was given the same task and had the same answer. She did a review, a very cursory one. But they're really not taking this seriously. And I do encourage everybody to, since they are the biggest polluter in the area and they are still planning on burning diesel in their power plant, renewable diesel, but diesel, which if anyone in your family suffers from asthma, you will notice because it will make the air dirtier in the area. So it's really not a good situation right now, and they don't seem to be taking seriously doing anything at all. They're mostly just pushing everything down the road. So hopefully this ETI forum will help them get kickstarted a little bit. Hopefully the faculty senate interest in this will help get them kickstarted a little bit. But right now they don't really have a climate plan, and they have one that they're not following. So that's where that is. All right, at any rate.
Lori,
Yeah.
excuse me. When you say reach out to UMass, do you really mean like people should email? And if so, who and what?
Email
How are
the
you
chancellor.
envisioning?
Email the chancellor. He's the one who's standing in the way. Email Tillman Wolfe, is the vice chancellor in charge of this effort. He's the vice chancellor in charge of plant and stuff like that, and he's supposed to be spearheading this.
What was
I
his
would
name
say
again?
Tillman, Tilman, Wolfe, Lowolf. Tillman Wolfe. If you Google Tillman Wolfe at UMass, you'll get his full title. But I think Chancellor at UMass gets you the Chancellor, and especially if there are any UMass alums here, there has been an effort to alert the alumni to what's going on, because a lot of the alumni were very proud of UMass for all that it's doing or was doing in the energy transition space. And they still don't know, because of course UMass controls the communication with its alumni. So if you have an alumni network, let your friends know. All right. Okay, onward. Draft solar bylaw. Anything more going on there, Steve?
Not that I know of. I have not been able to attend meetings this past month or two.
Stephanie?
I can give an update, yeah. So the CRC had sent a memo to the town manager with as much of a draft finalized as they had gotten to, and were requesting staff review. So staff convened, we had a series of 3 meetings, 2 hours each. And we went through the draft and made recommendations. And so that went back to the town manager. There was also a memo with specific questions for staff. Staff responded to the questions, revised, made suggested edits to the draft. All of that went back to the town manager. That then get forwarded to the CRC. They had a February 1st deadline. We got it to them just before. And tomorrow will be the first meeting that they'll actually start resuming review of the staff comments. But I will say that because of the new state regs and things going into effect, starting in March, the regulations get promulgated in March, and then the town has to be ready to receive applications definitely by October 1st under the new structure. And so I think it's optional, like at July, like an applicant has the option of which method they want to, like the old pathway or the new pathway, like starting in July, but then October 1st, all applications have to be under the new structure. So it has to be, like things have to be done by that. That's kind of the timeline. So we're working backwards from the October 1st date as to meeting certain milestones in the process. At some point, there will be, planning board has a public hearing and CRC has a public hearing. They may try to combine that just for ease, really for the public as well as themselves, to try to just have one joint meeting, one joint public hearing, or maybe there might be there may be a few public hearings. But again, that will happen sort of a little more in the process. Maybe, I don't know when those will occur, sometime maybe in July or so, I'm not sure. But that'll be the opportunity really at that point when there's public hearings for ECAC to really weigh in. So I will get you the draft that's ready at that point. I will get it to you all and give you notice of when the public hearings are so that you can comment. And I'm assuming, Steve, you will take that mantle. So.
The new state regulations, Stephanie, those drafts were distributed back in October, November. They took public comment for kind of a short period of time, but they're revising those. And when you say promulgated in March, that means like the final regulations will come out and be announced.
That's what they said, but they might have pushed that date back now. I'm hoping they did. I think everybody's hoping that they did.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I don't know any community that's like all excited for this to happen like tomorrow. Everyone's kind of freaked out. So I think
Right.
Any pushback is, of the dates. It's
Okay.
probably.
And the state, I'm trying to sort of access my memory banks here. The state had quite specific regulations, proposed regulations for how applicants would apply for solar and guidelines for scoring proposed sites that the cities and towns would have to follow. Amherst would have to designate somebody as a point person for that to coordinate the review amongst the various town existing committees. And the town would have to make one determination by the 12-month deadline, I believe.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have 12 months to get the permit issued. And it's
Yeah.
one permit, but it incorporates review by all the other committees. So it's
Right.
not like those processes don't happen. It's just that basically they maybe come up, and this is where I think was struggling a little bit as to how this is going to work. And this is going to really come from staff and town manager in terms of this process. this won't come from CRC. As to how that coordination is gonna work. So I think at this point right now, the way staff have recommended the point person, identifying the point person within the body of the bylaw itself is to say that materials get submitted to the town manager and or their designee. So it doesn't specify who that person is. It sort of puts the responsibility on the town manager to like say who the person will be eventually.
Is so how is the solar bylaw gonna kind of complement and not conflict with the state laws that we don't know the definite version of yet?
Well, they've really heavily relied on the draft that the state supplied,
Okay, right, yeah.
in which, and, you know, sort of took, Counselor Henneke took the draft that the committee was already working on, and then took the state's draft and kind of like melded them together
Okay.
and discovered really that it wasn't as bad a shape as we might have expected. You know, there was more more seamless transition than I think they thought there might be.
Oh,
So
okay.
so I think you know, not that it hasn't been work, but so now at this point, I think the process should move more quickly at this stage because they're just looking at staff comments, but you know, I think at this point it should go a lot faster than it has.
Okay, cool.
So
So
there's
what did you predict was when it might be coming back to town council, when CRC might present it back to council?
I don't have the timeline in front of me. There's a draft and really I shouldn't, you know, that's kind of something that Counselor Rooney had put together. So, and it's just a proposed timeline. It's not like a definitive timeline, but I think that's going to be reviewed at the meeting tomorrow. So if you can't attend the meeting, it is recorded. So you may want to,
Is that like 3 or 4 p.m.?
it's 1 to 3 p.m. It's
Yeah.
the afternoon now. So it's 1 to 3. Yeah, I know it's not great timing,
middle of the
Not
day.
great timing, no.
but
Okay.
it will be recorded.
Yeah.
And I can also
Okay.
tell you. So,
All right.
So
I
one of
will
the-
do what I can to sort of get myself up to speed on these in the next week or two before the next meeting.
yeah, at some point, I think if it does get discussed tomorrow, then the timeline is likely going to be included in the CRC packet for tomorrow's morning meeting, so you could always check their packet.
Okay. Yep.
So the big question that we perennially have about this bill is, in its current form, does it do anything to promote solar, or is it just restricting it?
Well, the state regulations are trying, part of their strategy is to make more consistent guidelines, more clear guidelines, and a simpler process for approval. So that's their way of promoting solar development, making it a bit more predictable and within that roughly 12-month window. The town's bylaw, no, at least the versions that I saw a few months ago, there's nothing promoting solar. It's all about restricting it. I mean, there's a couple of sentences at the very beginning, or at least there were in the prelude, about the importance of solar, but then everything else is all about restricting it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think, you know, they're trying to sort of identify potential impacts. So, you know, whether it be to, you know, property lines and setbacks and that kind of thing. So, because the scale that we're talking about, the state automatically will be reviewing anything that's over, I think it's 25 megawatts, I think 25 and above. And 25 and below is what the towns will review. And just for scale, the solar landfill project is only 4 megawatts.
Right.
So when you're talking about like a 10 or a 15 or 20 megawatt development, solar development, it's pretty large scale. and has, you know, for our area, it's large scale. So
I don't think there's any 25 megawatt or larger solar developments in Massachusetts.
yeah, and I'm just saying, like, this is what,
It's
you
really
know,
big.
the likelihood of that happening is
Yeah.
practically nil. We don't even have really that many sites for large scale development really left in town. So, I mean, it's not to say we can't have like other 4 and 5 megawatt installations, but you know,
Right.
even that opportunity is fairly limited. You know, if you remember, we had that whole solar analysis. There's not a whole lot of areas for certainly ground mount solar. So I'm just sort of keeping that in perspective. So you know,
Yeah, UMass's entire solar canopies are 10 megawatts. It's probably the
In total, all the different,
in total.
yeah, all the different ones. Yeah, at Hampshire College, the roughly 10 acres of fenced area has about 2.5 megawatts of solar.
Well, for comparison, the central heating plant is also 10 megawatts, but that doesn't mean they don't need to draw more than that. I think the grid, I think, can hold twice that. It has to be able to hold twice that by law, and the solar, of course, just because it's a 10 megawatt solar array doesn't mean it's producing 10 megawatts all the time. It rarely, actually, I think, produces a full 10 megawatts. You have to
one thing I
really-
should add about this bylaw is that it's not specifically just a solar bylaw now, it's a clean energy bylaw. So it actually includes battery energy storage as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's sort of where, I think there's more sort of pushback. So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when it's time for comment to have a look at it again. All right, should we move on?
Yeah.
Transportation, Emily, you got anything?
No, I don't think I gave the update ever before, unless you did, Lori, because I think you know that I reached out to the committee and they were short on people, so the transportation committee hasn't been meeting.
Okay, so
That's what
there was an update that that they got rid of the TAC, right? And I don't remember if you were here for that or not. And they're putting a new committee together. Stephanie, can you remind us about that?
I could have probably 2 or 3 weeks ago,
I
but
forgot. It's like parking.
yeah, right
It's like
now.
it's like
Sorry.
traffic and transportation and
Yes.
parking or something like that.
Yeah, it has a new title and I think parking is like part of the focus.
Yeah, it hasn't been very
I can
active,
look it
which
up.
is sad. We did. I should let you know that my community had its meeting last night, the Echo Hill community, and Lynn Grismeyer, I can't get her last name right. Lynn, the chair of the council, was there along with Amber Kano Martin, or Martin Kano. At any rate, Amber and Liz were there, and the conversation was mostly about transportation in the neighborhood, but they also heard from us again how bad Pelham Road is, how much things need to be fixed, and the problem is, of course, that there's no money. And Liz, I know, is working on with our local legislatures lobbying to have the formula for how not only UMass but local colleges also pay, how their contribution is calculated in lieu of taxes, right? And right now that's really what's starving Amherst more than anything is the contribution in lieu of taxes paid by UMass in particular, but I think also Amherst College is just not what it ought to be.
Lori, if I could, I have a little quick update on that
Yeah, go ahead.
transportation committee.
Go ahead.
So it's the Transportation and Parking Commission. They have not convened yet. It looks like they're still looking for members. And there's a link on how to become a committee member, and when they'll have their meetings. So they have not at this juncture convened yet. And they're still looking for members.
Okay, so if anybody's interested, or if you know anyone who might be interested, have them have a look on the town website. All right, I have some regional and state policy updates, quite a few of them. So let's see. First of all, let me just find this. I just had it open and now I've lost it. I think I forwarded to everybody. Was that the climate bill email that I forwarded? Now I'm forgetting what I forwarded. I think it was the climate bill, the climate bank rather. Send. Hold on a moment. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So just as an update, there were two bills that we talked about last year, at the end of last year. One of them that have been merged. One of them was the climate bank bill, making putting together a bank to fund energy transition projects, for example. And there was also a bond bill called the Mass Ready Act that we wrote a letter, I think, as testimony as a committee. So those bills are making their way through. I sent ECAC a copy of a letter by John Mecklejohn, which I can put in the packet later if I didn't already do that, if I didn't already request that. And the main message is contact your senator again, particularly your senator. That would be Joe Comerford, and just let them know that you're still watching these two bills and are interested in them. And they even suggest holding. This is one of the note I sent also talks about holding a constituent meeting, especially if you're a constituent of a Ways and Means Committee senator. And I honestly don't know if Joe is on Ways and Means or not. Anyone know that? Offhand? No. But it's always good to contact your senator and remind them that you are in favor of these bills. So there's no specific testimony that they're requesting at this time, no, hearing. But the bill is apparently in Ways and Means. I'm not sure whether it's Senate or House. Senate side of the joint Ways and Means. It's a joint Ways and Means committee. Okay. The Senate version of the bill is the one that's moved to the Senate side. House version of the bill is still in Joint Financial Services. So, at any rate, those things are making their way through, and it might be a good time just to contact Joe and remind her that you're following this. There's less good news on the Make Polluters Pay Superfund bill. This is Senate Bill 588, House Bill 1014. That was sent out for study, effectively killing it for now. So if you're going to, now Mindy and Joe, our local representative and senator again, we're both petitioners on the bill. They're both supporters of it, right? So it's a good time to call and thank them and remind them to please keep it alive in the next session, right? This is something we want to keep an eye on going forward, but nothing's going to happen with it now. So that's, again, Senate Bill 588, House Bill 1014, to make polluters pay, to put together a Superfund bill for climate in Massachusetts. Then finally, there's the really horrible, terrible Bill 4744, which is still alive and still terrible. And I have an email I want to share that I did not send out yet, so I'm just gonna share this on my screen, and then later I will send you a copy to put in the packet. Stephanie, let me just get it up here. Okay, share. Since this is a little bit more involved, where'd the share go? Whoops. There it is. Urgent quick action. There it is. Okay, so you can see this urgent quick action now. Massachusetts legislature. All right, so House Bill 4744. the main thing that's still in this bill that is really egregious is to take out of the formula for calculating the cost of fossil fuels, the cost of not converting. They're taking out the societal costs, which is sort of crazy. So Massachusetts had a very good way of calculating all of that and putting a fair price on what it costs environmentally and societally to continue to burn fossil fuels. And a lot of the different incentives were based on that. And now that bill still takes that out. So what they're suggesting is that there's a specific call here to call your representatives and ask them to push to ensure that the House's energy is focused on reducing energy costs, going after utility overspending and predatory third-party electric suppliers, and not the state's clean energy programs, which is sort of what they're gutting. They're trying to reduce costs by gutting Mass Save, basically. And one of the things Mass Save does is it uses societal costs in calculating benefits and incentives and stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I know that's generally how it works. And I know that Massachusetts was sort of ahead of the crowd in using that formula. There's an article here. I'll forward this. There's a link to an article explaining the situation that I haven't looked at yet, and a blog from Green Energy Consumers. So, and this is coming from, I believe this is coming through Third Act. I think Patricia Weinman is Third Act. So there's some other things in here, but this is the main action that they're worried about. And I've heard about this from a couple other places too, that bill, which we thought was dead, is not really dead. It's back. All right, and I think that's all I got for local updates. I will send that to you. Let me stop sharing. Stop share. Any question or discussion? This is not what I want. Where is it? Anything else? All right. Anyone else have any regional or state, local policy updates or things going on? No. All right, next thing on the agenda is the UMass Decarbonization Forum, which I already mentioned above, so I think I won't say it again. It's scheduled for late March. Friday, I think it's like the 26th or 27th of March, I think is the current date. And I will advertise that next time. I think I'll have an agenda by the next time we meet. So that brings us to staff updates. Stephanie?
So I did mention that we have a heat pump community program, outreach program that's scheduled for February 24th, which I believe is a Tuesday. And that will be from 6:30 to 8:00 p.m. And we do have a resident who has installed heat pumps that will be there on hand to answer questions. So it's going to be a much more consolidated general information session. There will be still some of that at the beginning, but we're trying to leave plenty of time for Q&A at the end with the resident, because we figured that's what most people are going to want to know, like, how did this go for you? And I will just say, my own little sort of private sideline, plug for heat pumps is this is the first time I think anywhere I've ever lived where I've ever actually been comfortable. So I'm all about them.
Yeah.
Even and in spite of this weather, it's been working really well. I just had them installed, so not because of their newness, but yeah, I'm really excited to have them. It's been a long road. So speaking of installations, we have just about reached our halfway mark. We're about to have the 15th out of 30 installations happen, I think this month. So we'll have officially reached our halfway mark. So there will be a press release will go out, sort of announcing that. We'll put it out on social media and just let people know that we've reached the halfway point. But we are, looking for additional homes to convert, but we have some in the pipeline. So it's not like we need 15 more homes. At this point, we probably are at the 8 or 9 additional homes to reach our 30. So, you know, a lot of other homes are kind of in the works, in the pipeline of like having the weatherization installed, you know, assessments and sort of doing all of that sort of groundwork before they actually get to the, you know, installing the mechanical system. So so we're doing pretty well. I'm pretty excited about reaching that milestone. So more about that. I think that I'm hoping people will join for the information session because I really think it'll be really helpful to have
Is it by Zoom or live, or how do you
oh, it's
access it?
Zoom. This is always, they're all by Zoom.
And that
So
was
this-
September or February 24th, 6:30
February-
p.m.
Correct.
Okay.
And
And
it'll
you'll
be,
send us announcement?
yes, it's already, I think I already listed it in the community calendar. So if you go to the town's website and you go to the calendars, like where this meeting is officially posted, there's a community calendar page as well. And you
Maybe
can click
send
on-
us a link to an ad or a link to the page or something like that so we can forward it on. That would be useful.
Sure, I'll make
Or
an
an
announcement.
ad if there's an ad, whatever there is.
We don't have the ad yet, but I'll send the link. The
Okay.
press release will go out. We don't necessarily do a flyer or anything. It's more like we do a press release.
Press release.
and send
Okay,
out.
we'll send a link to this press release when it comes out would be great. That would be perfect, actually.
There's nothing circled on February 24th on the calendar, at least on the main page.
It's, so are
Oh,
you on?
community calendar. Sorry. Oh, I was
community
on.
calendar?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got to click on that thing over there.
it should be in the community
Oh, yeah.
calendar.
There it is.
Okay, so yeah,
Well, there's something. Let's see.
yeah, I
Heat
wrote
pump
it.
program information session with a Zoom link. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's the one. So I will send the link to that as well, because that's what you want, that's what we want people to connect to. So I'll send that, and then I'll send the press release when we get it together, whenever that
Great.
is.
Okay, we'll look that up later. Not right now.
All right, sorry, I'm just making notes for myself. And then let's see, we
Can I
are,
before you, if you're
Yep.
going to move on from the heat pump program, were you going
Yep.
to move on?
I
have
was.
one other question, just out of curiosity. One of the concerns we had about CET was that they were too focused on being Berkshire Gas's mass save contractor. They were maybe too focused on that, on gas and not oil. Do you know how many of the heat pumps they put in are displacing oil or propane?
I don't right now, but they're supposed to provide a report at the end.
Okay,
So
'cause it'll
we'll
be
have that
interesting.
information at the end. They're not solely focused just on gas, because I mean, I have been very, very clear since the beginning
Good.
that we are much more really trying to push people off oil.
Right.
We want both, but we're really trying to get people off oil. So, but that is, I mean, because they are the mass save provider, that's where they, you know, that's the easiest for them to access people. So, but they're getting people from, you know, all kinds of fuels. So
Right.
it's not just gas.
All right.
any
Go ahead.
other-
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Any other questions about the heat pump program before I move on? Okay. So we are looking to apply for Green Communities funding. The application deadline is April 10th. I haven't done this in a while, mainly because there's been a lot going on and we've sort of been at various stages of other projects. So we're looking to maybe install some weatherization at the Munson Library and also at the North Fire Station. So we have reached out to the utility, to Eversource, and we have 2 studies that are happening. Specifically, one of them is specifically for weatherization at the North Fire Station. That's kind of more of like the consultant that the utility is providing is more about like an implementation. So they're not really doing a big study or analysis of the whole building. And there are reasons why, because that whole building needs an electrical upgrade. So right now that's like, it's not even worth trying to identify energy savings because the whole system has to be redone. So weatherization is kind of the thing that we can do right now. So that's what the study is for, is to like, where are the areas where we can yield some weatherization impacts to sort of help. Again, these things are all to move us towards eventually decarbonizing the building. And then for the Munson Library, same thing, that will be a whole building assessment to identify all kinds of opportunities. But we have asked them specifically to look at weatherization opportunities as well, because I think those are the things we want to apply for Green Communities funding. So that will happen in April.
So who's doing this study? So you have to do a study to apply for the Green Communities money?
You have to have, when you're applying for Green Communities funding, in order for us to do the weatherization work, we have to have identified what the energy savings will be. And in order
Gotcha.
to do that, we really need an outside contractor to come in and sort of like do the big analysis for us,
Okay.
identify where we could potentially get the measures, and then they have to identify what the savings, the energy savings is for those measures.
Right,
So
got it.
we usually
So
get
that-
a report.
So is that money coming from previous grants, or is that coming from the town's budget, or just
What-
out of
what
curiosity?
money?
The money for the studies.
No, the studies are all funded by Eversource. They're
Oh,
all
good, good, good.
utility. So the work the studies that are happening right now, the assessments that are happening right now
Mhm.
are provided by the utility, and it doesn't
That's what I
cost the
thought.
town anything.
Okay,
So
that's probably
that,
part of the Mass Save program.
yes, because they're mass safe providers. So,
Right.
so that's moving forward. It'll be good to sort of get back into doing a Green Communities application again. We do an annual Green Communities report, which I did do and submitted. It was due, I think, in November, so that was submitted. And then we do have the Sustainability Festival coming up, April 25th. I again want to put that on everybody's radar. So it's April 25th from 10 to 3. We reduced it by an hour this year because I think when the farmer's market closes shop and packs out and leaves, things really quiet down for us. So staying, having the event run till 4 felt a bit late. So we're going to be shutting it down at 3 this year. So, but still trying to get sponsorship for that. So we have definitely some secured, but we're trying to get some additional funds to have that event happen. But again, your support and your engagement in that event is really important. So having a presence there would be really beneficial, I think.
So please look at your calendars and try to find a couple-hour time slot that you can commit to being there on that day, if at all possible.
And the hours, even though the event runs from 10 to 3, we need people to get there like at least an hour
8,
before the
9.
event to set up the booth space. So just putting that on your radar. So really the support is needed from more like 9 to 3:30.
Right.
And what else? Let's see. So we, as I think I've reported before, we have secured getting a fellow for this summer to do a greenhouse gas emissions inventory. I am conducting the interviews at the end of the month. So I had 4 candidates. I'm going to interview 3 of them. And hopefully out of the 3 of them, the caliber of students is always very high, I will say. And this year is no different. The one change to the program is that they used to be students from all over the world, but now they are focused just on UNH grads and undergrads for the program. So I think some of that might have to do with some funding issues. So I think they weren't able to sort of make it as broad. They couldn't offer it as broadly as they have in the past. We have had UMass students, even though it was a UNH program, we've had UMass students actually as our fellows in the past. So there's that. And then let's see, I think those are all the things that I have identified right now.
How about an
There's more
update on
going
How about an update on the joint powers entity? Where
Oh,
that
I'm
is?
sorry. Yes, I knew there was something else. So that, okay, so the,
Explain what it is first for I think
yeah,
there are some new folks here who might not know what that is.
sure. So the Valley Green Energy Community Choice Aggregation is actually a partnership, a collaboration between the town of Amherst, the town of Pelham, and the city of Northampton. And most aggregations are really just an individual community does an aggregation. Amherst and the other two communities were approached by some residents from the three communities to create an intermunicipal aggregation that is modeled after some examples of how they do things in California or have done things in California. And this model, the idea is that you can potentially have an adder to the price of your electricity supply. And usually it's something very small. It's like 1 cent or less than a cent or so, but that is per kilowatt hour that goes towards some kind of programming or support for the aggregation specifically. So it has to be very aggregation specific. And when the money is utilized, it has to be utilized across the program. So it has to be something that's available to all of the program members. So we did launch the aggregation in 24. We have a 2-year contract with First Point Power to supply electricity for the 3 communities. We have 3 different price points, so there's more options with a community choice aggregation. With Eversource, you get a basic rate. If you want to have 100% green energy, typically you find a third-party provider who will allow for that. People can still do that, but anyone who is on the Eversource or in Northampton, the National Grid basic rate, were automatically opted in to the Valley Green Energy Community Choice Aggregation in November of 24 when the program launched. So people have to opt out. So that's a program. So now what community members who are advocating for this effort would like to see us form a joint powers entity. And the joint powers entity is really like an entirely separate business. And the community choice aggregation would be a program under the umbrella of the joint powers entity. This would allow us to do more programming. Right now, anything that we do under the aggregation itself has to basically be something that's approved by the Department of Public Utilities. So they have to sort of authorize and sanction what it is that's going to be done with the funds that are raised for the aggregation. If we have a joint powers entity that's more of like a business, then that JPE can raise funds to do more programming that they'd like to do. So, for instance, a heat pump program, it's the easiest thing to sort of throw out there. So, if we wanted to do something similar to what we're already doing in Amherst, it could be done under the joint powers entity as a separate business. So we have met for a while about doing this. Recently, the 3 communities, have decided that we really want a business plan developed. And we want, in developing that business plan, to identify if it is going to be, I guess what the benefits and the pros and cons would be to forming this joint powers entity and forming this separate business. And so we currently are looking to identify some potential developers of the business plan. So we have an RFP that was developed, but we have to find businesses that we can send it to. But what we're finding is that this is way more specific and unique than we thought. And so there aren't a lot of consultants or law firms or companies that would specifically have experience to develop the business plan. So we have people that are thinking about it and looking into it for us, but we haven't had success with identifying like who we can send that RFP to. This matters because we can't send an RFP out without knowing what the cost of developing this business plan would be. That's a state law requirement, apparently, under procurement law, that we can't just say we have these funds to have this plan developed. We have to know what the cost of developing the plan would be, and then we send it out to businesses to have them develop a plan.
You mean you need some estimate of what it should cost?
An estimate,
You
yes.
can't-
An
okay.
estimate of the cost, sorry, yes. But yeah, to me, the estimate of the cost, we need to have some real number with which to be working from before we can send out the RFP. So that has kind of slowed things down a little bit. So that's the update. I've got a meeting with this group next week and they'll get the same update. But we're moving forward. It's just a very slow process, and this is complicated. It's not a simple, oh, you just do this XYZ and it just happens. These things are really complicated. And I think Cape Light Compact is kind of the closest model to what we're trying to do, but it's very different. Like when they went into their creating their MOU and sort of putting that Cape Light Compact together, pretty much most of the communities, if not all the communities that participate in the program, went into it together. We're starting as 3 communities that hope to grow this thing, and that gets complicated. As you add communities, it's not a very straightforward process. So anyway, it's a lot. And I'm sorry, that's probably way more than you ever wanted to know about what this
No,
all
that's
is.
okay. I
No,
keep hearing about it from different places, so it's good to hear.
Well, this is from where I stand, I'm sort of acting as the coordinator for this effort. So Amherst is the lead community for this effort. So
And I think it's not just things like a heat pump program. I think it's things like developing your own source of power as well,
yes,
right?
it's
Like putting
it's
in a-
also great. I mean, I just used that as an example, but yeah, I mean, I think the goal, what we'd really like to see happen is be able to create locally, local
solar.
local energy, not just solar, but local energy supply.
Yeah.
That would be more directly distributed locally and not,
Right.
utilized locally and not just sort of sent to the grid and, so it'd be a
Right.
bit more behind the meter projects, I think is what we're trying to look to potentially develop. So, and there's also, a question of like the cost of doing those things. And at this time, it's just a challenging time. So,
Yeah.
that's
for
kind
sure.
of where things stand right now.
Are there other joint power entities in Massachusetts besides
There-
Cape Light?
There are, I don't know what they are, and they're not, I mean, a joint power entity is obviously not specifically regarding energy. It's,
Okay.
that's just that's just sort of the model and agreement with which communities can sort of come together to have us, a separate business entity.
Mhm.
And there could be other reasons for forming one, and I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
plenty of other models. I just, this specifically this related to what we're trying to do regarding sort of energy is more unique.
Hmm.
So I hope that was as clear as I could make it. So,
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
sure.
That was interesting. I think that brings us. If you have nothing else, I think that brings us to ECAC member updates. Anyone have any updates? I do not. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I've been participating in the Heat Smart Alliance heat pump coach training and about halfway through that. So that's been interesting. give some background on heat pumps, not nearly enough to make me a useful coach, but at least it's a start.
Having done that, I just signed up for passive house training today.
Oh, wow, look at you.
I'm trying to sign up for that to get started on that path as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. That's good. Another heat pump coach. There will be a supposedly, that's actually an update I could give. There's going to be a Pioneer Valley specific heat pump coaching course being offered through HeatSmart also, but I think Eric Broadbent in Northampton will be the lead on it. I think
Ah,
I'm supposed to be helping with that. So there will be a local course taught to try to get a bigger cohort of heat pump coaches in the Pioneer Valley because we sorely need that.
okay.
Um, so
He's
that
one of the co-instructors of the course that I'm
yes,
taking.
yes,
And I think there's one other person from East Hampton or Northampton, a
yeah,
participant, but it's mostly out Eastern Mass people.
yeah. I think Eric has now taught it a couple of times, or co-taught it a couple of times, so that by the time he's teaching it on his own, he'll have been through it at least twice.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure what my role exactly is going to be, but I will be helping him with that as well. So
It's for the other ECAC members or even members of the community that are listening, it's an interesting program. If you want to learn more about heat pumps, it's a great way to do it. Even if you maybe don't want to become a coach, it's still a great way to learn about them. Uh,
yeah,
Valuable information.
lots of good information.
How long does the training take?
Ooh, it's an hour and a half once a week for 4 sessions.
Only
And they
four.
have a pretty good platform. They provide the learning materials in advance. You read through them. There's actually sort of a series of pre-recorded videos that you watch. And then at each of the sessions, they quickly review those. And then the highlight of each hour and a half session is sort of a working group, a breakout session where you're teamed with one of their existing heat pump coaches, and they kind of step you through some specific examples. Um,
Mm.
and then once you get through that initial training, then there's a community through the Heat Smart Alliance where you can go and sort of get additional information and additional resources to help you with the coaching um, and find more information.
Yeah, they have lots of regular meetings for coach working groups and for working groups who are improving the Heat Smart documents. And then the general meeting is once a month on Friday at 7:30 a.m.,
I,
which is a little early for us retired academics or even current academics, but that seems to be the normal time for AC people. All right. That brings us to any other member updates? Okay, that brings us for items for the next meeting agenda. I think pretty much what was on this agenda, plus in particular the education series. Let's make sure um, we circle back around to local colleges report. A local college webinar about what local colleges are doing. We should come up with a better name for it. And then solar installers on incentives in the new era. That should probably also stay in. Maybe zero waste Amherst should be listed specifically under education series, or I can just remember. We can just bring it up again next time. I don't think I have. Oh, and then the sustainability festival probably ought to be on there. Stephanie probably ought to start putting that on. Anything else? All right, and please remember to reach out, find us some more ECAC members, so we don't have to cancel any more meetings. This was some sort of a record, I think, for a number of canceled meetings in the last 2 months. So, and do try to be there if you at all can. If you can't, give us as much notice as you can, because if we do find in advance that we don't have a quorum, we can try to reschedule. But if we only find out at the last minute, that's a little hard to do. So do try to let us know if you can't make it. It's fine if you can't make it, but do try to let us know. If there's nothing else, we should go back to public comment, but as there is no public, I think we can adjourn. All in favor? All right.
All right.
So see y'all in 2 weeks.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.